Hey guys, hope you've had a lovely day. My little girls seem to be trying to kick their way out today, so I apologise if I squeal at any point throughout today's instalment. Happy birthday, Max. It depends on which Max I'm talking to as to with which day you're watching this on. If you're watching it on Tuesday, then happy birthday, Max B. If you're watching it on Wednesday, then happy birthday, Max M. Happy birthday to both of you. Hope you've had a lovely day and managed to enjoy it, even though it's probably the strangest birthday you've ever had. Let's get on then with the second half of what Reggie did on the weekend. Let's see what else he's got up to on the weekends that he's had. And the first instalment today is called Superhero Names. On the weekend, I made up some cool sounding superhero names, just in case I ever need one. I have to say it was quite difficult because, you know, it's important to get just the right tone. So here they are. Farty McFartpants. Stinky McFarter. Captain Fartalot. The Fartinator. The Vominator. The Snotinator. And he's got a gun called the Bogey Blaster. Captain Poopalot. Captain Boogabutt. I think I'll go with Farty McFarterson. The terrible day at the beach. On the weekend, Mum took us to the beach. I thought it was going to be a fun day. It wasn't. Here's what went wrong. Number 1, I couldn't find my new board shorts, so I had to wear an old pair with Big Bird on the front and Cookie Monster on the back. Number 2, the old shorts are tight and they made me walk like I'd pooed my pants. Number 3, to punish me for looking like I pooed my pants, Don buried me in sand up to my neck. Lon sat on me and bounced a beach ball on my head. Number 4, the ice cream van came, but by the time I dug myself out of the sand, it had sold out of chocolate ice cream, and strawberry, and vanilla, and butterscotch, and cookies and cream, and mint surprise, and rainbow delight, and even rainbow disappointment. They'd run out of everything except bananas. I don't mean banana ice cream, I mean actual bananas. They were in a bowl on the ledge of the window where the driver stands. I asked the driver why an ice cream van would sell bananas, and he said he wanted to offer a healthy alternative. I bought a banana. Number 5, I'd only eaten half of my banana when a demented seagull attacked me. I think it wanted the banana. I dropped it in the sand and ran away screaming. Number 6, to forget about the banana, I went for a swim. I was dumped by a huge wave and swallowed about a bucket of seawater. Number 7, the seawater didn't mix well with the banana and I puked up a mess so disgusting that even the seagull wouldn't touch it. Number 8, I backed away from the pukey mess carefully and stepped in a dog poo. Number 9, while I was scraping the dog poo from my foot, the ice cream van came back with more ice cream, but it drove away again before I could get there. Number 10, I went for another swim and was chased by a shark. Okay, it might have been a dolphin or seaweed. Number 11, when I came out of the water, I had a big lump of sand down my shorts. Now I walked like I'd pooed my pants and had the lump to prove it. Number 12, the crazy seagull that hated me came back with some pals and chased me and my lumpy pants all the way to the car. That didn't sound like a good weekend, bless him. Next one, getting rid of my monster. On the weekend, I got rid of the monster under my bed. His name is Kevin. Don't ask me how I know his name is Kevin, but I just do. Kevin has lived under my bed forever and ever. When I was little, I was totally freaked out by Kevin. When Mum kissed me goodnight and left the room, I would lie there, eyes wide open, listening for Kevin. Kevin was sneaky. He would be quiet and pretend not to be there, but I knew he was. Don't ask me how I knew, I just did. Mum would say that if I was scared, then I should just look under the bed, and then I'd see there was no monster. I'm not stupid. I know better than to look under my bed. Everyone knows that monsters under beds are just waiting for you to look, because that's when they grab you. Eventually, I'd get so tired I would fall asleep, and that is when Kevin would come out. He'd stand at the end of my bed, in his big, hairy monster body, and stare at me. I knew this even though I was asleep. Don't ask me how I knew, I just did. Anyway, my friend Jimmy came over on Saturday and we were mucking about in my room, and my new awesome handball with Darth Vader on it rolled under the bed. I told Jimmy I'd get it later. Of course, you and I know what the problem was, don't we? That's right, Kevin. The thing is, I really loved that ball and I really wanted it back. So it was time to put my big boy pants on and face Kevin. After Jimmy went home, I sucked up all my courage. I stood in my room and I called out, "Kevin, come out, we need to talk." Nothing happened. He was pretending he wasn't there. I said, "Give it up, Kevin. We both know you're there. Get your big fuzzy body out here and face me." I heard a sigh and then Kevin came out from under the bed. We stood looking at each other. I said, "You're shorter than I imagined." It was true, he was only about as tall as me. Kevin shrugged his saggy shoulders and said, "You've got more freckles than I thought. It's hard to see at night when I normally look at you." I said, "Kevin, you've had it pretty good under my bed, but now it's time for you to go. I'm too old to have a monster under my bed." Kevin shrugged again and said, "Fair enough, let me just pack my stuff." He pulled out a red backpack, and in it he put 2 comic books, a teddy bear and a toothbrush. "Well, goodbye, Reggie," he said. And then he climbed out the window. I waved and I said, "Goodbye, Kevin." When he was gone, I punched the air and jumped up and down on my bed. I'd gotten rid of my monster. Whoop, whoop. I crawled under the bed and I got my ball. This was the best day ever. That night, I couldn't sleep. I missed Kevin. Next one's called Some Poems. On the weekend, I wrote some poems. There once was a lady named Rose who was always picking her nose. She pulled out a bogey and rolled it in sugar, then wiped it right onto her clothes. I know this kid who likes curry. He's really quite a nut. He went too far with the chili one night and blasted a hole in his butt. Yeah, I know he already had a hole in his butt, but this is just a stupid poem, so leave me alone. I threw up in Dad's shoe. It really wasn't my fault. My friend Luke made me eat worms, and then he did the bolt. Dad's shoe was the nearest thing I could grab. I really hate that Luke. You should have heard Dad scream and shout when he stuck his foot in my puke. Next one. The Man Who Wasn't Very Nice. On the weekend, I wrote a story about a man who wasn't very nice. The reason he wasn't very nice was because he hated everything. You can't hate everything and still be nice. Before he became a man who hated everything, he was a child who hated everything. He was probably a baby who hated everything, but since babies can't talk, it's hard to be sure. Although he did cry a lot, if that's anything to go by. Anyway, once he was old enough to talk, he told his parents that he hated everything. He hated his bedroom, he hated his swing set, he hated his trampoline, and he hated his bike. His parents tried to help. They asked him why he hated his bike. He said it was because it was blue. So his parents bought him a red one. And he hated it. No matter what his parents did, he still hated everything. Even though he hated them, the boy ate all his vegetables, including cabbage, and grew into a man who hated everything. He got a job as a plumber, and guess what? He hated it. He tried to be a postman, and he hated that too. He thought he might not hate a more exciting job, so he tried being an acrobat, a train driver, a firefighter, a dolphin trainer, a motorcycle stuntman. He hated them all. Okay, he didn't totally hate being a motorcycle stunt rider, he just disliked it very much. Eventually he decided to stay in his house where there were fewer things to hate. This was okay for a while, but then some noisy neighbours moved in, and guess what? He hated them. In fact, he hated everyone he ever met, so he packed his things and moved far away to a house on a cliff by the seaside, where there were hardly any other people to hate. Every day he sat on the cliff, watching the ocean and trying not to hate it. A little girl lived nearby and saw the man sitting by himself every day. She thought, he must be very lonely, and she felt sorry for him, so she decided to make him a very special present. She planted a geranium seed in a pot and watered it and loved it every day for 6 weeks. As the geranium plant grew, she spoke to it in a kind voice. She told it all about the lonely man who sat every day on the cliff. When the geranium plant grew a beautiful pink flower, the girl carefully wrapped the pot in soft pink tissue paper. She carried it up to the cliff top and, smiling shyly, she gave it to the man. He hated it and he threw it off the cliff. The girl ran home crying. The end. Well, what did you expect? I told you at the start he wasn't very nice. Next one. I like to poo at home. On the weekend, I went to my friend Jack's house to play, and everything was fine until suddenly I needed to use the bathroom to do a number 2. So I had to go home. Yes, that's right, I have to poo at home. While I was at home pooing, I made up a poem in my head about it. Here it is. I like to do my poos at home where I know the toilet is clean. Please don't ask me to poo in yours. I don't know where you've been. It's nothing personal, you understand. You know I like you a lot. I'm sure your toilet's fine, in fact. It's just this thing I've got. You know I can't poo at school or at Granny and Pop's. I can never quite relax enough to ever hear those plops. Day trips can be a nightmare, and don't start me on school camps. But I can hold it in for days if I have to, even with terrible cramps. Next one, the baby and the goat. On the weekend, I looked after a baby. I didn't do a very good job, and the baby was eaten by a goat. Okay, not quite. This is what really happened. The baby belonged to Mum's friend, Mrs. Whitman. Mrs. Whitman and the baby came to our house to visit. I wanted to play outside, so Mrs. Whitman said the baby could stay outside with me while she had coffee with Mum. I climbed up a tree. The baby sat in his carriage and watched me. I climbed down the tree. The baby sat in his carriage and watched me. I rode my bike up and down the path. You guessed it, the baby sat in his carriage and watched me. I asked the baby what it wanted to do now, but it didn't answer. It just sat in its carriage and watched me. I sang the baby a song, and it sat in its carriage and started to scream loudly. The baby wouldn't stop screaming loudly even when I stopped singing. I didn't know what to do, so I put a bucket over my head. The baby stopped screaming. I took the bucket off my head and I looked in the carriage. The baby was not sitting in the carriage watching me. The baby was gone. I looked under all the bushes and up the tree, but I couldn't find the baby. I'd lost the baby. Losing a baby is bad. I panicked. I ran inside and took a potato from the kitchen. From under my bed, I scooped up lots of fluff and dust bunnies and stuck them to the top of the potato with my glue stick. I drew a face on the potato. I ran outside and put the potato baby in the carriage. Maybe Mrs. Whitman wouldn't notice that it wasn't her baby. I found a stick. I put the bucket back on my head and banged it with the stick to see what it sounded like from inside the bucket. While I had the bucket on my head, next door's goat came through the fence and ate the potato baby. While I was inside getting another potato, I saw Mrs. Whitman holding the baby, the real baby, not the potato. She must have come outside and taken the baby when it was screaming, and I didn't see it because I had a bucket on my head. So everything turned out okay, apart from for that poor potato baby, of course. Or the goat. He didn't like fluff, or dust bunnies, or potato, and he puked it all up. Next one, my friend Cheswick. On the weekend, I made friends with a piece of cheese. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. It all began when Mum gave me a glass of milk and a piece of cheese as a snack. The cheese looked funny. It had holes in it. Mum said it was Swiss cheese. I didn't care what country it came from. It looked funny and I didn't want to eat it. My brother Lon said he would eat it if I didn't want it. Lon will eat anything. Then I noticed that my piece of cheese was talking. "Hey, Reggie," said the cheese. "My name is Cheswick." I might have made that up, cheese can't talk, but I'm certain that's what it was thinking. So Cheswick the cheese and I became friends, best friends. He was my new BFF, which meant I didn't have to eat him because it's not polite to eat your BFFs. Cheswick is an awesome friend because he does everything that I do. Over the weekend, we watched TV together. We played Minecraft together and we got beaten up by John together. He even came to my football game and cheered me on. Cheswick and I had so much fun that I couldn't remember what I ever did without him. On Sunday night, as I tucked Cheswick into bed beside me, Mum said that he was starting to smell bad. I said that was a mean thing to say about my best friend. I love Cheswick. Next one, getting rid of Cheswick. On the weekend, I had to get rid of a rotten, stinky piece of cheese that had been following me around all week. I threw it in the bin, but I could still smell it. I took it to the rubbish bin outside, but I could still smell it. I dug a hole in the backyard and buried it, but I could still smell it. I dug it up again, wrapped it in 10 pieces of tinfoil, put it inside an old shoebox, wrapped the shoebox with another 10 pieces of tinfoil, walked to the park 2 blocks away, put it in the rubbish bin and went home, but I could still smell it. I asked Lon if he wanted to eat it. Lon ate it. Then he farted, so I could still smell it. Okay. And that is the end. That is probably one of the weirdest, strangest, craziest, immaturest books that I've ever read. But hopefully it was light-hearted enough to give you a little bit of light relief and a little bit of a giggle at the end of the day. I will see you in a few days for another short story. Who knows what will come next. If you did enjoy that one about Reggie, there are other books about what Reggie did in other places, just have a look and see what you can find. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Stay safe. See you later. Bye.